Hi everybody, Jessie here from jessiebanks.com and welcome back to another video. So for today's video, I have a super fun one for you guys. Again, I always say that. Anyway, featuring Heffy Doodle. This is the Oceans of Love stamp set, and then I also have, I can't remember what it's called offhand, but it's this bubble stencil. Everything will be linked in the description box below, so you can definitely check that out to pick up any of these products. A while ago, I had asked on Facebook, just on my personal page, what other companies people would like to see me color and stuff. I think I was feeling a little bit stuck and a little bit in a rut using the same brands all the time. And Heffy Doodle actually reached out and said, how about us? And I said, that'd be great. So they sent me a few stamp sets to try here. And this is my first video using one of them. You saw them in the haul video if you watched that yesterday. So I'm starting completely off screen here, apparently. Stamping out the shark and the narwhal and the turtle and one of the starfish. That's it. See, look, it always comes to me. And then I'm just going to stamp out an extra turtle and a starfish off camera. So we're going to color all of these guys up. Just in my usual fashion, I'm starting with darkest and working into lightest. I am coloring on Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock. I tend to use this a lot for my Copic coloring since I got a bad batch of Copic Expressive paper and I reached out to the US supplier, which would supply to me in Canada. And they didn't get back to me. Then I got a hold of the guys in Australia and they tried to get me in touch with the guys in the States and they still don't answer me. So I'm kind of at a loss for how to get my paper replaced. I was willing to send them the ream back. Nobody gets back to me. It's really, really frustrating, but I digress. I'm working on that. In the interim, I've been using Neenah Solar White because it's about the next best thing I've found. So once we finish the sea stars, I'm working on our shark here, and I'm starting with N3, N1, and N0, and I am doing his belly just a little bit lighter than the rest of him. I am going to continue with the N markers for the rest of him, but I will bring in the N7 and the N5 to deepen up the rest of his body. I'm super happy with how this card came out. I thought it was super fun. A little bit of colorless blender just to make sure that that fades out nice and light. It wasn't really to push any color around. Now we're going to do the bottom of him with the deepest color here, that N7, and slowly blending out into our lighter colors. I hope everybody's having a great Monday. I usually like Mondays. Mondays tend to go really fast for me at my day job, so that's always kind of a blessing, but they just get longer as the week goes on and I get more stressed out. And you know how it is. It's a job. I love my job, but lately I need to get a couple jobs finished up so that I can relax again. So N5 going over top of that, N7, I am going all the way back to the black stamped line just to make sure I get a smooth transition between those colors that allows those colors to mix and blend together in the paper. That's the beauty of alcohol markers, is as you're coloring and you're going over top of the others, they kind of fade out into one another and you get that smooth transition between your colors for your light to dark. As I get into the lighter colors, I don't necessarily go all the way back to the black line every time I do it, but I do make sure I'm going back over the darker color before it a little bit, just to get, like I said, that smooth transition between all of our colors. I love these stamp sets. These guys are so cute. And I love that they give you, if you looked at the stamp set at the beginning when I showed it to you, lots of the sentiments are skinny and long. And I tend to really enjoy those on my cards as per, like the sentiments when they get them squished together and stack them up really high. I like to put them lengthwise on my cards. And I think that's just the style of card I do. It's because a lot of the time I do, like in this one, I'm doing an ink blended background, but I have lots of space to be able to put that straight line sentiment in, where some people, when you use lots of pattern paper and things, you like to put them in panels or bubbles or things that fit on that card style. I know when I haven't done one in a long time with lots of pattern paper and lots of layers and things like that. I really enjoyed those sentiments that stacked up because they fit better. But when I'm doing more clean and simple cards, I like the long ones because they fit better or they seem to fill it better, I guess. So it all depends on the style of card you're making as to what you're going to prefer for your sentiment. And I mean, you can prefer the long ones on pattern paper cards and the stacked ones on your clean and simple cards. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's all personal preference and what you enjoy. So we're working on our narwhal here. And I did the V28, 25, 22, and 20, I do believe it is. But that 28 wasn't quite dark enough, so I pulled out the BV25 just for the deepest shadows on him. It was slightly darker than the 28 because it has that gray green. It has that gray undertone to it. Just using a couple of the C markers here on his horn to give it just a little bit of color so it wasn't so stark white. And then we're going to jump into our turtles. So for our turtles, I did their bodies green, and then their shells I did orange. I just wanted something a little bit different, and I didn't want green on green. I wanted a little more color in the background and a little more contrast to the blue that we're going to layer into the background here at the end when we work on that panel. So dropping in my darkest shadows with that YG 97, and then we'll come in and blend them out with the 95. Again, going back over top, making sure that I'm getting as smooth of a blend as I can, because I do only put one coat of color on. I don't tend to go over it more than once. Some people like to go light to dark and then dark to light. And there's nothing wrong with that. Color whichever way you feel most comfortable and what you're most, or what makes you feel like you're getting the best blend and the best use of your markers you can. So the YG 93, and then I pulled out the YR 21. And then I decided it was too yellow, so I went back over top of that with the YG 90, but it did give me a nice warm green color that I wanted in the end. When it comes to Copic coloring, I find practice. I get asked a lot of the time how I can color the way I do with markers and yada, yada, yada. I've been coloring for 7 years, and I probably color almost every day, unless I'm on holidays or I have lots of appointments and things. I try to sit down and do a little bit every day, even if it's for 15 minutes. That's enough. Like, that's something. I feel like I'm growing and getting better and more knowledgeable and everything else, and comfortable with my markers or my watercolors or my colored pencils or whatever medium you decide you want to use. And yeah, it's practice. It's lots of practice. There's all sorts of classes you can take online. They're great, I guess. I've never gotten a ton out of them. I find I like to color the way I like to color, and practice does enough for me. So that's kind of where I am. But for some people, they are splendid and they work wonderfully. I do know with Copic markers, I do recommend getting Sandy Allnock's hex chart. She's got the colors kind of lined up as opposed to number families. It's kind of what's similar to each other on the hex chart, and I really enjoy that. That's what I use to pick my colors from. Now I'm pulling out this stencil and I'm going to tape it down on top of my card panel here. If I was to do this again, I would probably take it and add the like Tombow Mono Multi and let it dry so that it could stick down so that the stencil doesn't move at all, just because it is such a fine stencil. But it did work fine. Some of my lines aren't perfect in Stencil Blue because of that, and that's why I would do that next time. That Tombow Mono Multi glue, when it dries, if you let it dry without putting it down, it's repositionable. So I have pulled out Mermaid Lagoon, Blueprint Sketch, and Stormy Sky from my Distress Oxides, and we're just going to slowly blend those, working from light to dark and pulling them across the card. I don't go entirely across. I wanted a little bit of a white corner in it. I like white space in my cards. If you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that I enjoy white space now. I never used to. I used to find it really, really hard to leave white on the cards. And now I find them really, really busy when I don't. Why, I'm not sure, but that's kind of the way it's gone. So getting that all nicely blended out, now I'm taking my Blueprint Sketch. I do have a piece of scratch paper off on the side that I'm just checking how saturated my sponge is, because I'm not switching sponges between colors. I am actually just going back and forth. It works perfectly fine for me. Once I find a way to store all my little sponge toppers, I will just have one for every color, because I think that would be ideal. But this works fine for now. So I went back into that Mermaid Lagoon and I'm just blending that Blueprint Sketch out a little bit more. And now we'll take our Stormy Sky, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that into the bottom corner just to deepen that up. And that'll be it for that. Pulling off the stencil, and that's what we're left with. So now I'm going to splatter on a bunch of water and mop it off, and then we'll put a little more water on. I'm just using a rag. I have 5 or 6 of these, and I use them until I feel they're too filthy, and then I throw them through the wash. It saves me from throwing away paper towel and stuff all the time. So adding a little more water, I'm going to let it sit for a little bit there before I pull it off, just to make those spots a little whiter. And then I have some Finetec paint that I let soak. I didn't show you guys that, but it's the Finetec metallic paints, and I'm just using the silver color, and we're flicking that on. And then adding a couple more dots in some places where I really wanted them. Why, I'm not sure, because I'm overly picky probably, but that's all right. Then we're just going to sit and I'm going to let that one dry, pull it off, and we're going to adhere it onto a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch top folding card base. So you cut your piece of paper to 4 1/4 by 11 and score it in the middle, and that gives you a top folding card. Now I'm going to pull out this sentiment here, which says, I really hope to see you soon. I had to reach over and grab the card so I could see it. And I'm just going to stamp that along, I don't know, about 2/3 of the way down the page in some black ink. And now we're just going to add our little characters on. I'm going to kind of place them all over the place and then slowly adhere them with the Tombow Mono Multi glue. And that'll be it for this card. So it was super fun. I love these stamps. I can't wait to start playing with the next ones. I'll have a video again for you guys probably next week using another one of the Heffy Doodle stamps. So you can see how I just kind of lay them out. Oh, I didn't use Tombow. I used Scotch Quick Dry. It works as well. I like liquid glue for this type of application. So I pick them up and I just put a little bit of adhesive on the bottom of them. And then I press them down onto the paper. This Quick Dry is much like the Mono Multi. It sticks really, really fast. So I like that. They don't slip and slide around too much, but enough that I can kind of wiggle them into place as to where I want them. So I'll get all these little guys glued down. Like I said at the start of the video, all of the links to all of the products will be in the description box below, as well as my blog, my Instagram, all that kind of fun stuff. If you aren't subscribed to my channel and would like to see more videos by me, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and I will see you very soon in another one. Bye for now.